If you're like me, then you're probably interested in how to make your job a little less frustrating and tedious. You have everyday tasks that you feel just aren't worth your time to focus on, you just want a simpler solution. Microsoft has a product called Power Automate, formerly known as Microsoft Flow for the Microsoft veterans out there, that answers the question of how can I make my job easier? We also have a product called PowerApps, which creates business applications. No, we cannot release these on the Apple and Google stores, but we can do a lot of cool things with this. I'm going to keep everything very simple so that way everyone can stay on the same page. Power Automate's function is in its name, automation. You can automate just about any task within the Office 365 environment as long as you have the know-how. That's why I'm here to give you a little background on the sorts of things you can create within Power Automate and Power Apps. Here I have a SharePoint list. If you aren't familiar with SharePoint, then I encourage you to check out our blogs and reach out to Grayleaf to get more information on this awesome document management tool, also created by Microsoft. Within the SharePoint list, I can create columns, input data, and maintain an easy-to-use environment for a variety of data. It's super clean, but can become very tedious depending on the amount of data you want to input. As you can see, I have columns here set up, each one with its own column name, and I've inputted my own different types of data here. Again, if you have a lot of different lines of data, if you say you have 50 to 100, it can become very tedious very quickly. You have a lot of data, and it's really hard to sort through, especially without a search function. I set up a demo procurement process that can be used by a user to schedule a procurement and also submit a procurement. It can be difficult to manage all this manually, so we're going to use both Power Automate and Power Apps to make our job a little easier. We have a form that a user can go into and input their own data. These fields are populated through a connection, as you can see, between Power Apps and my SharePoint list that I created. As you can see, all of the columns in my SharePoint list are also shown within this Power App. So you see title, project code, name of organization / consultant, instrument type, and action type, and so on. So you can see right here, these are also all the same different columns that I created in my SharePoint list. Essentially, this allows the user to go in and put in all their data to schedule a procurement request without me having to walk them through anything. They can even save their data right to the SharePoint list. So once they fill out this data, all these fields, they put in their information, they click Save and Submit, it'll save right to the SharePoint list that I created. Every time they save information, it'll create a new line on SharePoint, and it makes things a lot easier instead of people having to go in every single time, click New, or click Quick Edit and input everything manually. We also have another form that does the same thing, but for procurement processes. This is where when we submit a procurement rather than just ask to schedule a procurement, same thing, they put their information in and submit their data. Again, all this is happening without me even having to know they have a procurement waiting for me. So I don't even need to know that they're setting this up. I don't need to know that they have this in mind or anything like that until it's submitted. Before it's submitted, it's not even on my plate. Once schedule submission is finished, then as an admin, I have a flow within Power Automate set up to send me an email based on one of these two forms that completed and submitted by a user. As you can see here in Power Automate, I've set up a whole flow so that whenever a new item is created in the list, so that means whenever a new line item is created, I'll get an email. Again, this is there's more information here besides just sending out an email, but essentially I'm getting an email telling me, hey, this is being published, this is being submitted by a user. It even gives me the name of the user, and I'll be able to manage the procurement process from there. And even before that, I don't even need to know that they're filling this out until they fill it out. Once they fill it out, I can go in and check it all out. Really cool is I also have another flow set up in Power Automate to create new folders and move any files uploaded by a user to a SharePoint library, which is like a SharePoint list but solely for documents and document metadata. Showing you the document library first, here you can see we have a couple folders, and inside these folders we have files. So again, document library, it's much like a list. As you can see, the different columns. We can add different columns, add different list columns, and different types of data we can save to this library. And the way I have it set up now is that whenever a new item is created in my other SharePoint list, which is respectively for the process rather than the scheduler for the procurement, again, people will go into the form, save their information to the list, and then when that new information is saved to the list, I will receive an email based off this flow telling me, hey, this user just put in this procurement. I need you to do something about it. Okay, now I have the email. Now I have the information. It's on my plate now. And even then, any files that they've uploaded through the form, which they have access to on the second part of this form, they can actually attach their own files. They are able to now, based off this flow, be sent to the document library. Again, this is going through, a lot of different steps in here, but essentially what it does is creates a new folder in this document library, adds their files they uploaded to the folder, and I can even add my own naming scheme within Power Automate. So that way I can name the folders based on my choosing. Benefits of creating new folders, it's another way to help organize documents that are uploaded by users without having me to dig through each one to find out what they are. When you have 10, 20, 30, over to 100, over 100 documents at a time, if you have a very large organization, you're going to have a lot of documents being uploaded at a time. And it's really hard to manage everything and organize everything without, peeling through every single one, figuring out, okay, this is for this is for that, and so on. In this process, everything is organized for me through Power Automate and PowerApps without me having to do a lot of work. It reduces the amount of tediousness, and it just helps me keep a little more sanity than if I were doing everything manually. Again, there's a lot going on here, but it's very simple once we break down the whole process. There's a lot going on, and it's very, very difficult to go over everything at once because there's so much information that eventually it's very hard to connect all the dots right away because, again, you just have so much going on. So please check out the next video where I go a little deeper into the waters of Power Automate, Power Apps, and these awesome programs created by Microsoft. Thanks.